As you can see, I'm wearing my finest t-shirt that explains my emotional state, so buckle up for this video. Hello, welcome back to this YouTube channel where I sporadically, whenever I feel like it, sometimes almost never, post content for you to enjoy, consume, tolerate, accidentally click on. Probably that one. Today we're talking about mandalas. Do you know what a mandala is? If you don't, good thing you're here because we're talking about them right now. Basically, the world is a dumpster fire currently. Terrible things are happening. Beautiful things are also happening, but they're being overshadowed by the terrible things. And I think we all could use some meditative practices, creative practices, prayers to whatever God you pray to, because it's getting rough. Luckily, all of those things happen when you make a mandala. Nailed it. Anyway, if you're wondering what a mandala is, let me tell you. I have written it down in my notebook. Mandala, the word mandala means circle in Sanskrit. So in case you're not fluent in Sanskrit, don't feel bad. It means circle. A mandala is basically just a piece of art that is circular in nature. Oftentimes it's symmetrical due to repeated concentric shapes that they are made out of. I'm told I don't use inflection correctly. So they're often symmetrical, but if you're a perfectionist, you can still make a mandala because nobody's perfect, nothing is perfect. We're all children of God here. Kumbaya. Though they are not explicitly religious necessarily, they sometimes contain religious signs and symbols. So if you want to put a yin-yang in your mandala, a Jesus fish in your mandala, a cross in your mandala, a Star of David in your mandala, you go right on ahead. But you do not have to. It does not need to be an explicitly religious art piece, though it is used in certain religions. Which leads me to my next point. Look at all of these notes I took for you. History and context. Mandalas are found in lots of cultures and spaces, such as Celtic and Nordic traditions, but they have their origin in Buddhism and Hinduism. Wow! In Buddhism, the practice of creating a mandala is often used as a form of meditation. Buddhists really love meditation, and I respect that, and also I don't like meditation, so this is a good compromise for me. Anyways, they're used as a form of meditation to achieve enlightenment and a kind of spiritual awakening through the means of being present and open to spiritual connection. That's what we're all striving for. Maybe a mandala will help you get there. I don't know. In Hinduism, the beliefs and experiences of reincarnation, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, can be expressed in the practice of creating circular mandalas. And within both of these religions, mandalas represent our position within the cosmos and our experiences of quote-unquote thin spaces, or times, places, experiences when we feel connected to God and the divine realm. Circles are traditionally used to represent these ideas. I'm sure that there are many other reasons why a circle is used, many other things that a circle symbolizes, but those are the things that I found in all of my research that seem to be a common thread. So, the next section is about mental health and other benefits. Oh my god, do we need this right now? The practice of creating mandalas is both artistic and meditative, expressive and spiritual. So you're covering a lot of bases when you make mandalas, so you're welcome. And because of its symmetrical nature, creating mandalas has an effect on one's mental state, a kind of release from the rational and logical parts of our brain. As a result, we move into a kind of creative flow space where we're just able to be our most authentic selves and get out of the parts of our brain that analyze and, rationalizing everything going around us. Going around us? That's not a phrase. Going on around us is a phrase. We'll go with that one. So this not only helps us to kind of quiet our minds and be present, but it also affects us physically. It helps us relax our muscles. I know that I often hold tension in my jaw and in my gut and in my lower back. And oftentimes, my muscles are clenched even though I don't even know it. When we let go and when we move into a space where we can just be present, those muscles tend to relax. It also slows our respiration and our heart rate. So it allows us to be fully engaged in our mind, in our body, and in our spirit. In the wake of COVID-19 and the Derek Chauvin trial and all of the hatred towards the Asian population and legislation that is literally violent toward people who are transgender, especially towards transgender youth, there's a lot of trauma that has happened recently, especially like in this pandemic when we can't be with each other and comfort one another in the ways that we typically would. And so I would invite you to take this video and the practice of creating mandalas and use it as an act of resilience, of prayer language, a kind of coming home to yourself, maybe an act of self-emptying, reorienting toward the sacred, whatever you believe, turning and pivoting toward a higher hope and a better way of being and a healthier world for all people. In doing that, we might be able to work through some of the trauma that we've all collectively experienced and get to a place where we don't feel those anxieties, even if it's just for 10 minutes. I just thrown a lot of information at you, but I wanted to just give you a brief overview of what a mandala is and how it functions and how I see the practice of creating mandalas within spirituality. But you might be feeling a little overwhelmed by all of the things that I have just said and done in the last 10 minutes. And so I want to just give you some prompts to kickstart the process of creating mandalas. Oftentimes, a good jumping off point is thinking about nature. Lots of people connect to God and to the sacred through nature. If that speaks to you, I would invite you to just think about the things that you find really beautiful in nature, the things that always manage to bring a smile to your face, or the things that make you stop and smell the roses. To think about those things that when you see them every spring or every fall or in the summertime, you just have to stop and smile. Think about times that nature has surprised you, maybe even scared you. Natural forces are always at work and they are powerful beyond measure. Hurricanes, tsunamis, tornadoes, it's sometimes terrifying to think about. I also really love thunderstorms and when it rains, the bright green that happens after. Maybe you could think about those things. A different prompt that you might feel connected to is simply the question, how do you see yourself within the wider world? What do you see as your role, as your purpose? And what does that look like? It's hard to pin down, it really is, I know. But those are some of the deeper questions that you can ask yourself to prompt your mandala creating process. But you can also start with something simpler. Make a circle on a piece of paper and then choose a shape and see how you can add it to that circle, going around and around. And then choose another shape and do the same thing until you can't fit any more on the paper. And your mandala can be made out of anything at all. And I'll include some examples of mandalas that have been made with different materials. The world really is your oyster. You can make a mandala out of anything and everything. It can be as simple or as ornamented as you want. It's all up to you. The process of creating a mandala is up to you. I'm hoping that this project will be an opportunity for families and households and neighbors to come together and create something with one another, but you also can make one for yourself. Ultimately, the finished product doesn't matter. It's the process of creating the mandalas, the memories that you make along the way. Maybe as you're looking through your pantry to find materials to use, you'll discover a box of lasagna noodles that you've had since 1997, and you'll laugh. Or maybe you'll go through a box of yarn and you'll find a skein that was given to you by your grandmother, who has since passed away, and you'll remember her and think about all of the beautiful traditions that she held and that you had with her. The process is what matters. I hope that in this process, in this journey of creating mandalas, that we can all collectively begin to heal, and that we can come together and share our stories. I think that's what I'll leave you with. I hope that you enjoy doing this and that you find it to be a meditative and artistic and spiritual practice to which you can return. Be well, friends.